What's up, guys? Matt Manduke here, and I have a little bit of food for thought for you. Now, today we're going to talk about my experiences with wage inequality. In other words, there's a bunch of people saying that women don't get paid as much as men do. Now, I've been in some situations where women weren't making the same amount of money as me, but let's be realistic. I worked harder, I had more experience, and ultimately I did a better job. Friendlier with customers, most of my jobs have been retail, so I have to put up with that crap. So, the woman who goes outside for a cigarette break every 15 minutes, instead of helping customers, well, she didn't get as big a raises as me, therefore she didn't get paid as much as me. In situations where I found that it was not fair wage, then it was usually because I had a female boss and she gave bigger raises to the females that I worked with instead of basing it on just how well they worked. In all of those situations, I left the jobs because they ultimately weren't fair. Some situations, I actually got hired for more than people who had been there for long periods of time, but I think that's because policies change, not so much as oh, this guy's a guy, I want to give him more money, because ultimately they weren't giving me very much to begin with. I feel bad for the people that worked there for 10 years and weren't making $10 an hour. I can't say what company that was, but we'll just say it's a drugstore that spells right wrong. And apparently, I might be able to say that now because they've been bought out. However, in other situations, most cases, the women end up getting paid more because they're seen more as a customer service type thing. In situations where, maybe you have a front room and a back room, they'll put the women up front because, aesthetically pleasing females are more likely to get men to spend money. However, aesthetically pleasing females think the world owes them something, so they're lazy. I can outsell just about anybody. I'm not going to go and look at a bunch of unconclusive reports because, let's face it, there's a lot of variables involved in how much somebody gets paid in wage. Experience, willing to work, the amount of years they've actually been there, because experience and the length of time of holding the job are two different things. In other words, if I get a job, I'm outside of Violent High School. If I get a job today at Violent High School, I don't expect to be making more than, the female associate that's been here for 10 years, even if I'm doing, like, let's say we get janitorial work, and, I'm doing the same job as her, but she's been here for 10 years. But say I went and I worked somewhere else at like a factory or something doing the same thing, sanitation, for 15 years. I still expect that she would be getting paid more than me because she's been here for longer. Now, whether or not they like her as an employee would, greatly affect whether, how great of a wage she gets. At which point, how can we just look at the overall of what the average women make and the average men make and expect it to be accurate when there's so many more variables involved? Now, most of the jobs that I've worked for that, aren't competitive in such ways, they just have set rates. If you're a manager, you get paid $10 an hour. If you're not, you get paid, $8.38, which is minimum wage in New Jersey. Or, if you do this job, you get this much, and if you've been here for this long, you get that much. In those cases, there's no inequality that's capable of happening. So there's no way that we can actually, say that it's not fair, because ultimately it's fair. Now, the whole idea with the wage inequality thing is to raise a red flag and get the government involved. But let's face it, that's not going to turn out for the better. If the government gets involved, they're almost always going to side to the favor of the richer person, and therefore the guy who owns the business. Yeah, so then, people are going to get pay cuts in order to equal the amount of wage that is being made, so that the boss makes more money and everybody else gets screwed over. So, let's face it, if you're a woman on YouTube, you'd have a lot more viewers that just happen to be male, and you'd be making more money than I am. It'd be much easier for you. So there's some wage inequality. Thanks for watching. I'll check you out next time.